Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for joining me today. I have 3 projects that we're going to do together. I have one project that I finished and I am using the Holiday Wishes Mega Bead Mix from Jessie James Beads, and you can find that at jessiejamesbeads.com, and I'll put a link in the description below. I have everything that I've used so far and I still have lots to still use. I have a couple ideas for these big chunky crystals, and I will be sure to share them with you. So the first thing I want to share is a bracelet that I made, and I've used this same style / technique a few times, and this is something that we learned from Gem Hawks. And I took some 18 gauge wire and made simple loops on each end. Then what I did was I took some 24 gauge, I believe I used 24 gauge wire, maybe 22. I might have used 22 gauge wire to start wrapping in between all of the beads. And I absolutely love it. I decided to use a toggle clasp. I might change it because, as you can see here, it's different shades of gold, and that really bothers me. So I am likely going to change that out and maybe make my own little toggle clasp. So we will see how I do there. So that is one project. Then we're going to make a necklace, and I wanted to bring in a pop of green, wanted to use this beautiful little charm that was included in the mix. And I'm also using a quick link. This is one of those bead along quick links, and I had it extra from summer camp. I am using some 20 gauge wire, and then I also did use some 18 gauge wire to make up some jump rings. That might be 20 gauge wire. It might be 20 gauge. I think that's 20 gauge because 18 gauge is what we're going to use in another project. And it looks like I missed one of the beads. Oh no, I didn't. It's for that project. So we have 3. We have a necklace and we have 2 pairs of earrings. I am going to scooch my other projects over. I don't know what that, oh, that's probably a piece of soap. I'm going to scooch my other projects over. All right, so I have some 20 gauge wire, and I'm basically just working from the spool. And I do that because I have a large spool. And what I'm doing is I'm going to make some wrapped loops. I'm going to be using my bell making pliers, and I think it's the large. Nope, it's not the large, it's the smaller one. It's a smaller one. I'm going to be using the small bail on the bell making pliers, and these are small bell making pliers. And this has been, I've had these sat out for a few days. We've had Thanksgiving, and then I've had a few other things going on. So it's been sitting here on my mat for just a little bit. Now, again, here we go. I have this gold and it doesn't match the same gold. Yeah, it's a little irritating, but I am probably going to change it out and try and find another gold lobster clasp that I can use. And what I did is I'm using, this is paper clip chain from Jessie James Beads. I love their paper clip chain. I have it in gold and I have it in silver, and I feel like I have it in other colors too, but I absolutely love it. And like I said, I made some of my own little jump rings, and I think I did use the small one. Well, and this looks a little bit bigger. Nope, it looks about the same. Okay. All right, so what I need to do now is I'm going to bundle those up, and I am using a jump ring to connect it. Then I'm going to wrap this by itself, this bead by itself, and this bead by itself, and then this bead by itself. So we have a lot of wrapping to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and thread on this here, just like so. So pretty. And I'm keeping that kink down there so that I can go ahead and not worry about it going anywhere. And since it is a larger, that's a larger a larger loop than I normally make. So I'm going to go just a little bit larger, or go down, come down just a little bit further than I normally do. And go ahead and come in. And we will see right away if this is the right size. And I think it is. It looks like it is. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and, no, I must have used the other one. So I'm just going to go ahead, because I can use this on another project, because I don't want to waste that loop. Okay, I have another piece. This is the pitfalls of not recording right when I'm making it at the same time, but a lot of times there's other stuff going on in the house and I am not able to record right away. Make that straight. We're going to go ahead and come in, and I still feel like this is probably a little too big, but we'll find out. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and rotate our wrist and bring that and make that all nice and centered, and that looks like the size. Yep, that's the size. All right, I'm going to go ahead and come in with my chain nose pliers and go ahead and lock that in place. And I want 3 good clean wraps, and we already did 1, and here is number 2, and we're going to do our 3rd. And you can use your fingers. I have a tendency to use my second set of pliers just so that I can make sure that I have a nice tight fit. And I'm going to wait to cut it, only because, well, I mean, I can cut it now, but I tend to wait, because if I were to cut it and then tuck in the little tail that sticks out, I have a tendency of going this way with it. It doesn't, I'm not very uniform with it. So I like to have a bead up against it. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here. I'm going to come a little bit off the tippy tip because this is 20 gauge. And then I'm going to go ahead and come in this way and go ahead and form that around. And the wire's so long, it almost hits the camera there. And then make that all nice and centered, just like so. And I am not worried about attaching it to anything right now, because we are not attaching this directly to the quick link. Okay, and then I come back around. I will use my fingers though, just like I am now, just because it's a longer piece of wire. Then I'm going to go ahead and come in and give that a little bit of a trim. Put that in my scrap pile. I'm going to hold on to that loop and then come in just with the tippy tip of my pliers and tuck that in. And I'm going to come in on this other side and just tuck that in so it's nice and clean. And then if it's, see, it's a little tiny wonky, I'm just going to go ahead and straighten it out just by, it's not the loop that's wonky, but it's just a little wonky. There we go. All right, so there we have 1. Then let's go ahead and do this here, and we're going to go ahead and attach it. So I'm going to go ahead and come down a little bit more than I normally do. Come down a couple of inches. Then I'm going to go ahead and get that right up against that angle there and push that to the back and get that all nice and evened up. And yes, I did not put my little thing on there first. It's okay. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead, and since I'm going to be attaching it directly, that's how I'm going to do that there, because I like to start my loops. When I'm doing wire wrap loops, I do like to have a front and a back. I do not like the tail to show through the front, and where the wire wrapping starts is, for me, considered the front. All right, and so now with this one, it's going to go like this sideways, right? So I'm starting in the front, which is right here, okay? Lock that in place, and then I'm going to come around 3 times and ending in the back. 1, 2, and 1 more time. And I have a tendency to always do 3 just because, I'm sorry, I just bumped that. I have a tendency to do 3 the majority of the time just because it's easy to remember when I'm making stuff. Let's see if we can get this in there. Yep, we got it in there. Okay, and I want my loop to go the same way, and I want the front to be the same as the other side. So I'm going to come in just a little below there. Come in with my round, well, my belt making pliers. Come in, push that to the back, and then get that all nice and evened up to where it is straight. And I'm going to come in, and I'm going to go ahead and use my fingers. And there we go, push to the back. Get that all nice and evened out. Get that. That is not a scrap. That is going to be, well, it's not waste, but it's going to be used. Okay, let's go ahead and, let's see if we can get this just a little bit more like that so I can get in there and get a nice, good, clean cut. There we go. Okay, and then now that I have something to hold on to, I can just hold on to that while I tuck in just that oh so carefully. Okay, and then you see how that's a little bit angled? I can go ahead and just come in and just kind of, and so now it's going straight up. Let's go ahead and come in here. I am going to use the assistance of a second pair of pliers and go ahead and come in and tuck that in. Okay, so there we go there. I'm gonna have to grab more. If you have eye pins and want to just make smaller loops, you can do that for sure. And then it'll be quicker too. But me, I love to wire wrap. Well, part of the reason why is because I'm not good at simple loops at all. And you will see that with one of my other projects where, yes, I make simple loops. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and thread that on first. And we have this kinked down here so that I'm not just cutting random pieces and having a bunch of waste. I try to minimize the waste as much as I can. Go ahead and form that over. You notice I'm not pulling on the wire when I'm forming it over the loop or forming it over the bell making pliers. All right, so now I need to make sure that the front here is going to be the same front on this side. So I'm going to come in through the back like so. Might have to open it up a little bit with your fingers. And when I do that, the front here is going to be the front there. Perfect. Does it really matter? Probably not, but for me, it does. I just feel like if you're going to be making something for someone, details are good. Details are really good. And I don't like to rush my wire wraps. I will take my time. So yes, will it take me longer to do something than other people? Sure, it will. But I just feel like my wire wraps are a little more clean than doing it kind of quickly. All right, so now let me come down just a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and push that straight out. You notice I did not cut the other end yet because I want to have this, this side all nice and tucked in so that when I am centering everything, it's a little more, it's up against it so that I can have a nice, good, clean, not just a clean cut, but a clean kind of tuck in, I guess. All right, there we go. Get that pushed to the back. I got that in there just a little too tight. So let me go ahead and trim this other side. And again, this is just my preference. And it's just how I like to have my loops, not just only going in the same direction, but I should be on camera. I do like to have stuff tucked in and like to have it all nice and clean and tidy. That's probably just how I learned. Okay. All right, so now here we go there. And I just want to make sure that it's not like all bent, pointing in a different direction, nice and straight. Okay, there we go. And then we have 2 more to go. Go ahead and add this one on here. Let's go ahead and come down just about 1.5 inches or so. Use my larger of the small bell making pliers. I'm going to form that over, rotate my wrist, push to the back, and that's pretty centered. Before I go any further, I need to make sure that I'm putting this on correctly here so that the front's always the front on all of the different wraps. Will anybody notice? Yes, I do. Okay, let's lock that in place. And then let's go ahead and start wrapping. I've already gone twice. Now here's the 3rd. Okay. All right. Go ahead and get that locked down. And then let's do the same thing here. Just like so. Come down just a little bit more. When you're using 22 gauge wire, yeah, you can go at the tip. I usually go with the tippy tip for my 22 gauge wire. And then get this pushed around to make it all nice and centered. And I will use my fingers for this, but I'm being very careful and not really rubbing the wire because I don't want it to get warmed too much to where I end up making the wire brittle. I have done that on with like 24 gauge wire. Okay. Let's go like so. And let's go like so. All right. Okay. One last one, and I am probably not going to get that. Well, let's try. No, I don't want to try. Let me just grab yet another strand, and I am starting to run out. I did not think that that was going to even be possible. I have one of these large spools of wire here, and of Bead German style wire, and I never thought I would run out. And look, I'm starting to see the spool. Starting to see it. All right, let's go ahead and thread that on. We're going to come down about 1.5 inches or so, give it that bend, and we are going to form around and then push to the back. Make sure we get it all nice and, oops, we need it a little bit more. It's not all the way centered. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and get that. We're going to go right here. And come here. We're going to hold on to that, lock that in place, and then we're going to go 3 times around. So there's 1, and there's 2, and then we'll go 1 more time around. There we go. Then we're going to bring this one in. And before on this one here, we are actually going to be attaching it directly to the chain too. So we've got 2 connections here to make. So let's go ahead and get that. That's way off centered. Okay, let's get that there and get that pushed to the back and get that going just like so. Then let's push this through. the paper clip chain. I love the paper clip chain because then it's good to attach to as well for like a lobster clasp. And so it is absolutely perfect for this project. Okay, and let's go ahead and go around once, twice, and I apologize that I keep on hitting my camera phone here. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Give it a little bit of a trim. I just realized you guys watched me wire wrap a ton and probably didn't need to. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get these tucked in here. And we'll put the last finishing touch on this necklace. Okay, let's go ahead and get that tucked in. And then we'll get this side tucked in. And there we go. All right, and so now we are going to make sure that the front is facing the front. So there's the front. And for this side, there's the front. That's where the wire wrapping is starting. And then we'll go ahead and attach one of these little homemade jump rings. I love homemade jump rings. Well, for one thing, I'm able to get the jump ring the same color as the wire. That's one thing that I love about it. And then I don't have to get up and go grab them. They're just right here. All right, so there we have that. Then what we're gonna do is, see, go right here. Now what I wanna do is I wanna see if I can fit 2 jump rings through the little charm. I like the 2 jump ring look. 2 jump ring look is so cute. All right, so let's go here and get that closed up. Okay, then let's see if we can get another one fit in there. Okay, who is just not loving this bead mix? I'm in love with it. It's so pretty. So much so that I bought another one. Okay, and here we go here. And get that trimmed off. We have an extra jump ring. Oh, and then I did bring this out. So I'm bringing out the difference between the simple loop and the wire wrap loop. And this was something that I did. I think I used this for summer camp just to show the difference between, just in case any of the viewers wanted to see the difference between the two as far as what the look looks like. And here we have it. Here is our cute little necklace. Oh, I cannot wait to get that all. I guess this color ties into here and then even the quick link. So I guess that's okay. I guess I'm okay with that. But there we go with that. And we do have some scraps. So I have a couple of pieces that I'll be able to use for something else. I do have a long strand, and then this pile here is for everything. So once I get done with these other 2 projects, this is actually including this project too. So not a lot of scraps. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this pushed to the side. And let's bring in this one. Now this one here, I don't have any air wires. This one here, I did a wire wrap loop down here at the bottom. So I'm going to use one of those gorgeous cube beads, one of these gorgeous drop beads, and a pearl and a crystal rondelle spacer. This is all from the mix. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and thread that on. And I do have to remember to end the back, put the tail in the back where it belongs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring these over till they cross. And I'm going to have that smaller piece in the front so that it's easy for me to wrap. And I want to try and get them about the same size. That's probably about the same size. Then what I'm going to do, I put all my stuff away here. I'm going to go ahead and just bring this, the long one in the back. I'm just going to bend it up just like so. And then I'm going to take this one here in the front and just give it a little bit of a bend, just to kind of help it out a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to come in, I'm going to use my little needle nose here, just like so. I'm going to come in, and this is 22 gauge. So this is 22 gauge wire, and it's probably about 5 inches. It's about 5 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my fingers because it is 22 gauge. And I think that's about it, because I go around twice, but then we're going to go around one more time. Brought in my hair. And here's it right here. So I guess I did do it right. Maybe I did redo it. Who knows, right? Okay, and so that kind of looks a little wonky. You can kind of come in and rearrange your little wrap. And I'm going to go ahead and thread this on first before I do the cutting and before I do any of my other stuff. But to me, that doesn't look very centered. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. So let's go ahead and cut it and get that trimmed off. Then I won't tuck it in until later, but what I need to do is just kind of center that up just a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of maneuver things around a little. There we go. Then I'm going to go ahead and come in and add that there. Okay. And see, when I cut it, I feel like I don't get it. So I'm kind of upset now. Let's see if I can get this pointed down. So there's going to be a little bit of space. Not too happy about that, but okay, so here's the front here. All right, so there we go. Sorry about all my little rambling. Then we're going to thread on our little red bead and our little crystal rondelle and our pearl. We're going to come in. As you can see, I did a little bit of a bulky wrap. So I'm going to come in very close to the tippy tip, and I'm going to give it a bend. And then I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers and go where I normally go with my round nose pliers, which is almost halfway between this little mark that I make and the tip. I'm going to go ahead and form that over and rotate and push to the back. And then I'm going to get that all nice and centered up. And then kind of close it off. Kind of did that a little wonky. Oh, there we go. It did stay intact. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to wrap it around 3 times, going downwards. Okay, then I'm going to come back up. And so I'm going to do another one. Oh, here's to use my bent chain nose pliers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and come back up. And sometimes I can get 4 wraps, sometimes I can get 3. I just don't want the wrap to go get tucked into the loop. So we're going 3. Go ahead and give that a trim and come in. That's a little wonky. I am gonna be fixing that. So what I do is, since the tail is right on, it's next to the loop rather than being next to a bead for me to push up against, I'm going to put my bent chain nose pliers up against that and kind of treat it like a bead so that I can tuck this in without passing it back through the loop, because I have done that before. All right, so when I wrap this, I probably just didn't get tight enough. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of that. Okay, there we go. And then I'll go grab some ear wires before the end, because I'm gonna need ear wires for the other project. Okay, so now that we have that all moved up, so there's our first pair of earrings. And we did some wire wrapping. This next one, we're doing simple loops. Look at that. We're gonna do some simple loops, and it doesn't look like I got that closed up very well. When I look at the side, it looks like it's not completely, which I cannot get them perfect, but at all. But let's just get that close up a little bit. And what I did was, I think I used the smallest bail on the 6-stepper. I think I used the smallest one. I could be wrong. I did. Oh, I used this one. So for the bottom, I used a bigger loop than up at the top. So what I'm going to do is I need a good flush cut. I can look at that and see that there's not a flush cut. It's not completely flush. Now it is. Okay, and so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add my beads first, because I'm kind of working from the spool. I don't want to waste any of this precious wire, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add this to the bail making plier or the 6-stepper and rotate my wrist away from me until it meets the other side. Then I'm going to go ahead and come in with my chain nose pliers here and bend that up so that now it is centered, and it is. Okay, now also too, what I want to do is, since I'm working from a large spool, it's kind of angled a little bit. So I just want to make sure that I have a nice, good, straight edge here. I'm going to go ahead and open this up and thread on. I want to make sure also too, because these are just wire wrap them or simple loops themselves on these tassels. And so just make sure that it's to your liking. It's not a, I'm going to center it up just a little bit more. And there we go. Just a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and close that off just like so. All right. So now I have this. So when I look, because my ear wire is going to go this way, so my loops are going in the same direction. And so that's what I want to have happen here too. So now what I'm going to do is, and this is tough wire. So to get this going, I just have to really, really press on that without, and it's good that I'm going up against, this might be a glass pearl, not sure, but you know, just be aware of what you are using. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and come here, and this is 18 gauge, so I'm coming out just a little bit more than I normally do, and I want to see what size. I think I used this one and then had to tuck it in a little bit. So let's go ahead and start with this one. I'm on the 2nd step, and go ahead and bring that in, and I can tell that I'm going to have just a little bit too much. Very little. I'm going to trim just a very tiny bit. Very tiny bit. Okay. And then bring that in. And what I know I did was I came in with the smaller one just to get it all nice and evened up. And so let's go ahead and get that evened up. Okay. And so now we have, oh, nope, it's not even close. Oh, no, so I must not have been pushing all the way up against there. So let's go ahead and open up this a little bit more and try and get that a little bit closer to the bead. And again, it's all wonky. But again, I'm using 18 gauge, and I'm not a good simple loop designer anyways. So yeah. All right, so there we go. And they're almost the same enough for me to say they're about the same. Now what I can do is I can take this 20 gauge wire that I already have and make a couple pairs of ear wires with that. So I can go ahead and give it a good flush cut, and then come down a little bit, okay, and then give this side a flush cut here, just so that they're about the same. Okay, and so my flush cut is over here. Yes, my flush cut is over on this side. Okay, so now I want them to be right up against each other. And I am going to use, I think that's the flush cut. Oh my goodness, let me see. Usually I can tell. Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna go up against, make them flush there. And then I'm gonna, on the second step of the six stepper, I'm gonna go ahead and I want them to be the same size. And so I am doing them together. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back around, keeping them together, and going to go around the largest. We're gonna go around the largest. I normally don't go around the largest. Well, I guess I kind of do sometimes. But now that I have that there like that, I'm gonna go ahead and give the flush cut on this side, and I'm gonna want them to be in the same place. There we go. More scraps. Then also too, what I want to do is I want to have them bending in the same place too. So we're going to go ahead and just give them a little bit of a bend, just right there. Okay. Then I think what I have my wire whacker here. The last time I busted this out, I was calling it a weed whacker. Not sure why, but yeah. All right, so here we go with our wire whacker. And I'm just gonna go ahead, because I need to work harden it. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a few whacks. Okay. Then I'm gonna go ahead and open up one side. Thread that on, close it up. Is it closed evenly? I feel like it's not. So let me just, yep. Okay, let's go ahead and open up this one. And go that way, I think. Let me see. Yep. All right. And close it up. And there we have a pretty little elegant pair of earrings with my love the tassels. And then we have this pair here, which oh no, this is 18 gauge. I don't want to make it with 18 gauge. I don't feel like I'm going to have enough. So I'll grab another pair of ear wires and get this all photographed so that you can see it all. So here we have, oh, here's my scraps. So here are my scraps, my little tiny scrap pieces, the garbage. And then I do have a few pieces that I will be able to use for other stuff. So I'm pretty stoked about that. All right. Okay, so we have those two pairs of earrings, and we have a gorgeous little necklace, again using some of the paper clip chain from Jesse James Beads. I will get a pair of ear wires on there so I can get a nice good picture. And be sure to go out and grab your holiday wishes mega bead mix from Jesse James Beads. I will have a link in the description below. Be sure to like this video if you do, and comment. I love to see what everybody has to say, and subscribe. There's more to come just with this mix too. And until next time, have a good one.